This is LeetCode challenge 389. It's called Find the Difference. We are given two strings S and T is basically the same string as S, but is generated by randomly shuffling the characters inside of S and then adding one more letter at a random position. So we need to find what is that extra letter and return it. So they say here, return the letter that was added to T. Example, ABCD. Here, T is ABCD, but then we have E added at the ends. So we need to return the character E because E here is the extra character. In here, if we have an empty string and T is Y, then Y is an extra character by itself and we return the character Y. So if you've watched my previous video on this channel, it was called Valid Anagram. And we used a very similar technique using a map to increment the count or the occurrence for every character in one string. And then we decremented the count in the second string. And then that is when we iterated through the map and verified if all the values were 0. If a value inside of the map was not 0, then we could determine that it was a culprit. So in this case, we are trying to find what is the extra character inside of this string T. So let me clarify again. We have a map here, an unordered map. The keys inside of the map are going to be the characters for S here and also T. Int here is going to be the count for occurrences of these characters inside of the strings. The name of the map is M. So now here I'm using a for each loop, looping through my string S character by character. I'm accessing every character by reference inside of S, and then I am incrementing the count, this int count here. By default, it's 0. So as I find this key, this character, C here, I'm setting C as the key in my map if it doesn't exist, or if it already exists, I am finding that key and incrementing the value by 1. Then here I have a second for each loop because I need to process my string T character by character, and I'm finding these keys respectively, every key for my character C here, and I'm decrementing the count. So if the characters are the same and they appear an equal amount of time, except for one character inside of T, it means that inside of my map M, by the time these two for loops are done executing, all the values for all the keys are going to be 0 because they were incremented here and then decremented here, except for the extra character, which is going to be -1. Because when we find it here, automatically we add it to the map, and then we decrement the default value of 0 to become -1. So now here I can create a char variable called answer. I'm going to return that answer, and I am updating it inside of this loop here. So now I need to iterate through my map, item by item. Every item is a pair of character and integer, where characters are the characters in the strings, and the integer is the counts for their occurrences. So like I said, everything is 0 except for the culprits, the extra letter, which is -1. And I'm checking here if the value, when you use .second, this attribute will give you the value for the item inside of the map. I'm checking if the value is not 0. If the value is not 0, then for that pair in the map through this item, I'm going to access the key here. The key, remember, is the character. I'm going to access that key and assign it to my answer. And I'm going to return, and that's it. You can add a break statement here. I probably should, by the way. So I'm going to add a new line here and set a break, meaning once I find that key, that character, I can simply break. So now let's run this code. We've passed the sample test case. But to clarify, guys, I also have this extra line of code basically to show you what is happening inside of the map once we are done with these two for loops. So this is going to print the keys and the values inside of the map before we return the answer. And check this out. In here, we had A, B, C. So A, B, C, and D were added to the map here. They were incremented by 1 for the accounts. So they were at first they were 1. Then when they were found in the second string, they were decremented. So they became 0 again. But this E was an extra character which was added to the map and then decremented. It was decremented here in T. And because by default the value is 0, it became -1. So when we looped through the map here, we iterated through the map, we found it in here, we assigned it to the answer, we stopped the loop, and we returned the answer. So that's the logic here. I'm going to remove this print statement, otherwise it's going to slow down my solution. So now I guess I'm just going to check if this code is still running. And if it does, then I can submit it. So it's a great way to use the hash table methods or hash map. In this case, we pass this LeetCode problem. The number was 389. The name was find the difference. If you want to have more coding interview questions and you like my solutions in C++, please subscribe to my channel and I'll catch you next time.